Thank you for joining our webinar. Today we're going to be discussing the 3X Logic visual solutions, and we'll be focusing on cameras, accessories and mounts. Please use the question and answer box on your screen and we'll answer any questions at the end of the webinar. In today's webinar, we'll provide a recap on 3X Logic and our solutions. We'll talk about why dealers and integrators should invest in 3X Logic, and then we'll focus on the VISIX Gen 3 cameras. We'll have a look at the sales and marketing tools and the support that's available to you. And this includes a certified dealer program and training options. We'll have a look at the next steps, a summary session, followed by Q&A. As speakers, we have Bill Hobbs, our VP Global Sales, Steve Riley, a VP European Sales, Erin Salisbury, our Global Sales Support Manager, Alex Buckle, our UK and European Support Manager, and myself, Jim Mystery, Senior Product Marketing Manager. So you're here because we've launched 3X Logic visual products and solutions in the UK, Europe and EMEA regions. And this is through our dedicated 3X Logic sales team and also our sister company to Pack and Paycom. So we have a total of 4 webinars through November and December. And this is where you'll learn about 3X Logic and our products and solutions and how they benefit you and the end user. Previously, we had a webinar last week which introduced 3X Logic and focused on the visual solutions as a whole. And today's webinar is very much a focus on the cameras, accessories and mounts. So who is 3X Logic? Well, we're a software development company that manufactures security products and solutions. Now, for over 15 years, 3X Logic has been integrating security systems with cloud management systems. And we are the experts in capturing high quality video, moving it and integrating it. And our legacy is to bring you anytime, anywhere, on any device. Now technology offers new ways in problem solving, so we create new outcomes for our customers. But we're constantly innovating to provide customers with a fresh perspective on existing problems. And all our solutions are designed with simplicity and efficiency in mind, taking you from intelligence to actions quicker. So the screen here shows the 3X Logic ecosystem. And the biggest value to 3X Logic customers is that we're a one-stop shop. We offer the full package access control, video and business intelligence. So we can provide additional value to current installations. This can lead to opportunities for sales growth. For example, an access control customer can be a video customer and vice versa. But we can help you retain business and long-term relationships for you and your customers. And because we're a single source, it's not just the security needs, but also for optimizing their entire business. For example, with our mobile app, the dry cleaner owner may need to be at the back of the store, but when someone walks in, they'll get a push notification so they can greet them. So it's more than just security. And we can scale. So we can start small and grow as the business needs change. I'll now hand you over to Alex, who's going to talk about 3X Logic solutions and the opportunities for sales growth.
Thanks, Jet, and hi everybody. For those of you who are following us on this webinar series, welcome back. For those of you that are new to the webinar series today, welcome, and please do take the time to go back and look at our previous webinars. That will bring you up to speed as well. And from there, please do engage with us and continue on this journey as we introduce 3X Logic to the UK and European marketplace. As it says on the slide, visual solutions is the key here. Today we're going to be talking about the cameras, but I just want to stress that cameras are one part of that solution. And when we stitch it all together, like you see on the screen, and with the software packages, as you'll learn throughout the webinar series, that's when it really starts to become that value to the customer. It goes beyond just the cameras. Yes, they have a vital part to play in this solution, but when we talk about adding value, we have to stitch all of that together and align that to the customer's goals to ultimately integrate ourselves into their business. And that's alongside yourselves as integrators. So please do stick with us as we take you through this webinar. And hopefully today will give you a good glimpse into our camera solutions and what's available to you. We probably will go at a fast pace at this moment in time, purely because we want to get to the real meat of the presentation when I hand you over to Erin, so we can really start to deliver our messages of where we play well in the market and how we do that. So like I said today, hopefully we'll give you a glimpse of that. And really 3X Logic's formula has really driven home in the North American market. We do things differently, and we ultimately want to add value to our customers. And I'm not going to go through every single point on the slides here. I'm really going to pick up on the two that really stand out to me. Because of the value that 3X Logic brings with the cameras as part of that solution, and we take it beyond that video, we have a massive addressable market at our fingertips, and in turn at your fingertips. That really gives us an opportunity to provide value beyond just basic video to you and your customers, and integrate ourselves and yourselves as a key business tool within your customers. The reason I say key business tool is because it's much more nowadays about taking it beyond just the basics of video. Yes, security is important, but adding value beyond just the basic security purposes is far, far important, just as security is to your customers. So it's really, really important that we get that message across to you today. And as a result, hopefully we will, and you'll see that we have a massive addressable market that you can take 3X Logic to. The second one, and it's sort of a follow-on from that, is the fact that within our software packages, again, going beyond the cameras, we give you the potential to really unlock a recurring monthly revenue opportunity and stream from your customers into your business. It's really important, again, because it allows you to keep touch points with your customers to ultimately keep them up to date with what's going on with the system, and continue to add value so that you don't get taken out by the competition or get replaced by say a different provider that cuts out an integrator altogether. So we'll show you throughout the series, not necessarily today, how we can really grow an RMR revenue line within your business. So today, again, really exciting opportunity. So please do bear with us as we go through this. I'm now going to bring Erin into the webinar as we take a deeper look and a deeper dive into our cameras and the value beyond the cameras. Erin, I'll stay unmuted so we can bounce off each other and discuss some points. But it's over to you for now, my friend.
All right. Well, thanks, Alex. I certainly do appreciate that. But and yeah, guys, we're gonna kind of go back and forth just a little bit. Alex and I were talking about really some of the markets that we really touch on with a lot of these cameras, and of course that's going to be very, very important. Ultimately, getting out there, talking to end users, talking to the customers, and where these ultimately fit in. But before we dive in there, let's just real quick take kind of a glance at some of the highlights or the finer points that we have on some of our cameras. So first and foremost, NDAA compliance. I'm sure you're aware. You've probably heard about this. It's been very big over here in the U.S., having to meet that compliancy. Really what that means is that we've had a chance or an opportunity to really revamp our entire product line really here in 2020. And really it even started a couple of years ago because we were planning ahead on this one. But ultimately we had the opportunity to sit down and say, guys, really, what are people looking for in cameras? You know, they want a value to cost solution. Obviously, it's got to be priced right. That's first and foremost. It has to have all the features that people are looking for. Things like, you know, a proper extruded aluminum housing, a really nice powder coating, all the IP outdoor, you know, water ingress ratings that everybody's looking for. But then we said, you know what, let's make it a little bit better. Let's kind of take it to the next level. Let's look at what we're doing for chipsets. How can we make the image quality quite honestly better than anybody else's? Because at the end of the day, if we don't sit down and show this to our customer and it looks really good, well, of course, that's not gonna do very well. And ultimately, we said that's what we have to have. We have to have a camera that looks really, really good. So what we did is we used honestly Ambarilla chipsets, which you may have heard that term before. Ambarilla is a really high-end chipset manufacturer. You'll find them in the likes of GoPro, DJI, you know, various other cameras manufacturers that have really just spectacular image quality. That's what we went for in these. And I would encourage you to take a look at it as well. Make sure you show these to your customers, you know, and really go head to head with any other camera manufacturer that's on the market. I have full confidence that you would set ours next to anybody out there and go, wow, these really do look good. We also did a couple of other really nice improvements. For instance, you know, we always talk about bang for the buck. Well, for a number of years, we saw 1.3 and then 2 megapixel and then 3 megapixel. Well, now the best bang for the buck actually lies in a little tiny mini dome that's actually a 4 megapixel of all things. We also added a whole lot more memory and processing. We did that because of all of our edge analytics. We have a lot of analytics that we're going to be covering here in a minute, but ultimately we needed to have really a computer out there at the edge. That's ultimately what these cameras are. You have to have a tremendous amount of processing power to be able to do some of these analytics that we're doing, but not just a single analytic. We needed to be able to run multiple analytics, because you're going to find throughout these webinars, we use these cameras in a lot of different markets. I mean, obviously, we've got some points down there at the bottom, you know, warehouse, retail, K-12, all of these different markets that they fit into. Everybody uses these cameras very differently. You know, in one location, they may be looking for, you know, how long someone's standing in a queue, whereas in another location, they may be looking for when there's loitering, right? People hanging out behind a building or taking too long in a line, whatever it may be. All of these various analytics we decided to deploy on all of our cameras across the whole line, so that no matter what market we're going into, we really just have a lot of arrows in our quiver to be able to pull this feature set out and say, guys, this will fit into this application. The very next day, we're looking at different applications. But let's keep kind of rolling through some of these. Like Alex had mentioned, guys, I want to get down to kind of some of the meat and potatoes of this guy. Just a few of our images here, just to take a look at some of these cameras. And really, I just wanted to kind of draw your attention to a couple of these. And you're going to get to see a few of these kind of specialty cameras here in a little bit. For instance, our outdoor PTZ, the one on the bottom in the middle there, everyone kind of looks at that one and goes, wow, that's kind of an odd looking camera. What is that? Well, that's actually our 180-degree camera. We make a really, really nice 4K 180. So that's kind of a nice camera. Also our 360s as well. You know, and all of these are just simply value adds. Being able to have as many cameras in our product line that will hopefully fit into your jobs was obviously kind of a paramount piece. And what we did is we put this into our matrix as well. All of these cameras being in our matrix, you can go back and line up all of our cameras with all of our mounts. Jit, next slide if you would there, buddy. And if you ever guys haven't had a chance to see this, go ahead and jump on the website. You can see it there. Obviously, it's under our video solutions, visual video solutions. Sorry, easy for me to say, right? But that's where you'll find this on our website. But this is one of those things, and if you're on one of our previous webinars, you probably heard me say this, and I mean this. Go grab this guy, print this thing off, and keep it with you. It makes it really nice and easy to be able to just kind of at a glance get an idea of, if I'm going to mount this camera on the corner, on the wall, on the ceiling, what megapixel, what range, what lens, wide dynamic range, whatever all the feature sets that you were looking for ultimately can be found on the camera matrix, and really just a nice, easy to consume format. Really just kind of a quick little reference guide. Print this guy off, throw it in your backpack, keep it with you, and then, you know, obviously have that to be able to use anytime you need to. The next slide here, I'm going to go over really just kind of the three biggies, if you will. And really the reason why I pulled these out is I wanted to touch on really our three best sellers. The reason why is because these are so prevalent in our market, because we've done a number of different things. For one, the camera that's there off to the left, guys, that is by far and away our most cost-effective camera. This is a 4 megapixel mini dome. Of course, it's all IP68. It's a low profile. It's a very small little camera. We sell these things like hotcakes, and I think you will too. By far and away, this numbers-wise, we sell more of those in any other location, just simply because of how easy they are to install, the image quality that you get out of it, and of course the aesthetics. You know, you can put these little tiny guys up in a bank or a credit union or a school or whatever market you want to put her into, and they just simply look nice. They're very, very good solution that's very, very low cost. The one here in the middle, we have really changed that formula that Alex was talking about. And I'm going to spend just a moment on this one here, but I'm actually going to come back to it. I want to touch just real quick on that 360-degree camera before we go into the thermal camera. So I'm going to actually spend just a moment talking to you about that particular market. But the 360 camera, if you guys haven't seen these, it's a 360-degree hemispherical camera. It gives you full coverage, and you can actually knock it down to just simply a 180-degree field of view if you want to, but most everybody runs it in a 360-degree because of what we can do on our software piece. We bring this camera into our software, into our Vigil platform, which you've probably seen on some of the previous webinars, or at least kind of touched on. And we're even going to go a little bit deeper on it, even in the next couple of webinars, talking about some of our software pieces and how all of this integrates together. But these 360-degree cameras really kind of changed the market a few years ago. When we have the option of being able to put up, let's say, a single camera in the middle of a room, whether that room be a warehouse, a large retail location, no matter where it is, that camera seemed to have changed a lot of people's perspective as far as how many cameras you need in a room. And I'll give you just kind of a brief little example here, especially in a lot of these small convenience stores. You know, they may be 2,000 square feet or so, not gigantic. They put up one of these cameras in the middle of the room, and now they have full situational awareness because the camera can see in a full 360 degree. We honestly thought, hey, this is a great market for it. Let's look at expanding this into other locations. And wow, these cameras absolutely took off in so many different verticals. It wasn't even funny. We're putting these things into large warehouses, not only for just simply situational awareness, but also for insurance purposes. You know, someone comes around a corner in a forklift and goes head to head with another forklift because neither one of the drivers were, in their proper lane or following proper safety procedures. They're not wearing a hard hat, whatever the case is. All of a sudden, this camera became such a massive solution in a lot of these various locations that it really just kind of took off as far as being one of these best sellers. And as these markets started to emerge, it really kind of came a little bit exciting for us. And in fact, Alex, I want to just ask you briefly, I see you're still unmuted here. I'd love your input on this. I mean, we see over here in the States, and obviously you know your market a lot better than we do, but over here in the States, retail is huge for these. Warehousing is huge for these. We've even done a number of these, even in a lot of outdoor locations as well. But, let me just ask you, is this something that you perceive to see to be, something in the UK market there?
Yeah, definitely, Aaron, 100%. I mean, in the past, I've dealt with customers that are looking for 360 cameras for that situational awareness purpose in all scales of markets. The one that really stood out to me was in trampoline parks. So in the UK, trampoline parks, the UK doesn't have the greatest of weather. It's always a variable factor when it comes to the weekend. You want to keep your kids entertained. And in these trampoline parks, you've got that variable under control. It's not going to rain inside. So you've then got all these people flying to these trampoline parks, and accidents occur because it's trampolines, everybody's bouncing around, having a good time. And these trampoline parks had this big problem because they're big, large open spaces, and they wanted to be able to give as much coverage with as little cameras as possible to ultimately keep the purse strings tight. And the deployment of these 360 cameras allowed them to have that situational awareness, to keep them insured, to allow them to be able to track if an incident occurred. And from there, the 360 cameras flew off the shelf for those types of opportunities. So yeah, really, really important in this market as well as your market, Aaron.
Oh, I love it. See, and that's a perfect example. And thank you for that, Alex. I didn't even think about trampoline parks. You're not kidding. I mean, anywhere that you have a large square foot pattern, you have a large area that you have to cover. These are just absolutely fantastic for that type of an installation. Because before, we used to have to put a camera in every corner of the facility, trying to cover as much area as possible. We had dead spots, places you just simply couldn't see. And really, that camera just changed the market entirely, just because we could cover so much area simply with one camera. All right, guys, I promised you I would come back to this thermal camera. And in fact, we're going to go a little bit deeper into this. Yeah, thank you, buddy. This is something that really kind of changed the market. And I want to spend just a few minutes on this because I want to share this success story with you guys. We took off into thermal imaging here a few years ago over in the US. And ultimately, we said, you know what, there are thermal imaging cameras out there. They already exist from various other manufacturers. We didn't want to be another Me Too. But we saw a niche in the market, and honestly, we saw a problem in the market that we thought we could solve. And that simply is outdoor perimeter protection. Outdoor perimeter protection for years has been large, long-range infrared, basically motion detectors is really what a lot of folks have run. They've done fence shakers. They've put lines in the ground. I mean, they've run standard analytics on normal visual cameras for outdoor, and they all had their ups and their downs. The downside to all of them, simply put, was the amount of false alarms that everybody ran into. 3 o'clock in the morning, someone breaks into the property, jumps over a fence, they're stealing a car, they're, doing vandalism, whatever it may be. And of course, anytime there was somebody, well, yeah, that particular sensor would go off and so on and so forth. The challenge with that is not every time that's what was happening. A lot of times it was just simply raining. Or you had animals, right? Foxes, deer, you name it. These things would trigger, standard outdoor motion detectors. Also the fence shakers. At least here in the U.S., we have a lot of deer that like to rub their horns on fences. So anytime we have a chain link fence, we put the wire through it. We're looking for the vibrations, hopefully someone climbing over the fence. More times than not, it was simply critters. Anything from a raccoon to a deer to you name it, something else was shaking the fence. On top of that, you pretty much had to leave the system completely turned off anytime that there was wind because it would just simply shake it too much. So all of these different things had a lot of challenges. One of the better ones was in analytic. They were using analytics on cameras, looking outdoor, saying, hey, if I see a person, I want to trip an alarm. That was all well and good. The challenge with that is doing that on a standard camera, and ours included. I mean, we run full analytics on all of our cameras, but visual cameras require, of course, the one thing that we all need, light. Whether it be infrared that's being projected from the camera, or we're putting up big floodlights or halogens or whatever, we just simply couldn't see far enough out to be able to, determine what it is that we're looking for. So enter the thermal, and this is going to be exactly like what you guys would expect it to. In fact, Jed, if you would, go ahead and jump us over to the next slide here, sir. This is a proper thermobolometer camera. We are looking at actual heat signatures. This is not for identification. Right? I mean, if Alex and I were standing right next to each other on a thermal imaging camera and you didn't know either one of us, you couldn't tell us apart. But you could tell that we're both human. And that's the important factor, okay? Not only do these require no light whatsoever. In fact, it's kind of unique. They look almost exactly the same during the broad daylight that they do in the middle of the night with zero light. They don't produce any light whatsoever. They bring in infrared. They literally absorb infrared and give us that thermal imaging. Well, that was all well and good. Not only is this the lowest price one you're going to find on the market, which of course I'll let all these guys over there deal with pricing and all that good fun stuff, but take a look at this one. When you guys do start to get price lists and whatnot, you'll be incredibly impressed at the low price of this guy. But when we said, hey, we want to take this, we want to use this in outdoor perimeter protection, well, how are we going to do it? Well, for starters, we had to make it extremely scalable. So we have a couple of different models, a narrow and a wide angle. We want to use this in outdoors, looking down fence lines, things like that. And yes, I can see a thermal signatures, and then I can turn this on just simply right out of the box. I can literally take one out of the box. They come pre-configured this way. Take it out of the box, power it up, connect it today to an alarm control panel. And it is nothing more than a thermobolometer, an infrared thermal imaging motion detector. Sees any motion from any thermal signature whatsoever, it closes a contact and it'll work like a regular old motion detector. Okay, that's all well and good, and that's neat, and yeah, that's a little bit more advanced technology than what we had before, but we took it to the next level and deployed our analytics into it. By putting our analytics into this camera, we now had a whole bunch of options that we already offered on our standard camera line, but now we were doing it within our thermal. So I can go out there and I can say, yes, I can tell the difference between a cat, a dog, a truck, a person, a group of people, all of these various things that we can do with our analytics. And now I could do that directly with our thermal imaging camera. And by doing that, we really kind of killed two birds with one stone. For one, we reduced the false alarms to almost nothing. The reason why is simply put, this thing doesn't go off unless it actually sees a person. Now, whether or not that person is your employee or a burglar, well, that's entirely up to your own managerial purposes, right? How you're actually having your people come on or off your property in the middle of the night is up to you, but we can tell you when somebody's there. That is a massive, massive improvement over what we've had in years gone by. this is something that we thought, hey, you know what, we'll make an improvement. We'll do this outdoor motion detection, all of that. That took off so fast it wasn't even funny, guys. And I just wanted to kind of wet your whistle a little bit, right? Start to get your feet wet as you start to stick your toes into the deep end of that pool. There is a lot that we can do on these thermal imaging cameras, and I encourage you to try them out. All right, Jid, if you don't mind, let's go ahead and jump over to the next slide there. Kind of gave me a little sneak preview here. This is something that we do on just about every one of our cameras. There's a couple of them that we actually don't do this on, but for the most part, every one of our cameras comes standard with a base analytic module, okay? Dwell time tamper, object tracker, and presence filter. Really what this comes down to is you can take any one of our standard cameras, put it up in any type of environment, and you already have this stuff built in. You know, you want to know when your employees get to work? We can tell you. You want to know how long your employees are standing outside doing a smoke break? We can tell you that stuff. And in fact, that's all well and good, but how do you go and get some of that information? And really, you guys are going to get to see this on some future webinars, and ultimately, it comes down to how we integrate all of these bits and pieces together. And I'm giving you a sneak preview here down in the bottom left corner of this screen. What you see there, guys, is actually in the background is a calendar view, okay? That's actually a people counter for that particular instance, but that's actually how many people are coming in or out of this business during a certain hour or a certain time of day. And we can do that hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, give you averages on all of that. And in fact, that is completely built into our client software. If you have one of these cameras, you have that feature set for free built in. There's no additional add-ons, there's nothing, you just set it up. Now, we do get a little bit deeper into the woods on this one when we start talking about advanced analytics, because holy cow, can we do some impressive things with our analytics. Not only can we do it back on that thermal camera, we can also do it on our visual camera. And I got a couple of samples here just kind of pulled up. Like for instance, the parking lot. I can tell you how many cars are going straight, how many are going right, how many are going left. I can also tell you how many people are waiting in line, how long people are waiting in line, if an object has shown up, if an object's disappeared, all of these various things that you can see here on the screen. As far as bullet points and whatnot, all of these are built into these cameras. Well, we're actually going to take this even a step further because there's actually even a couple of more emerging markets to it. And in fact, let's jump over to the next one here, just to kind of touch just briefly on some of these other rules before we get into this other piece. But the dwell rule is one that we find people use everywhere. Okay, and the first thought is, hey, I'm going to figure out how long people are waiting in line in a retail establishment. That's great. That's awesome. You can go back and you can figure out, hey, at 11 o'clock, I need to have 5 people on staff. I need to have 2 people on staff, whatever it is, just based off of how long people are waiting in line. You can combine that with our people counter and see how many people come into the business versus how many people actually go up to the front counter and wait in line. But you got to think about this a little bit further than that. And in fact, Alex, I'm going to ask you this one too. You brought this up on the last webinar. For those of you that weren't on it, Alex was talking about fitness centers.
Yep.
And he was saying, hey, what if you have, 10, machines or whatever, and only 3 of them are being utilized? Well, we can also go back and tell you how long people are waiting in that particular area, or are people waiting, or how long are they spending on these machines, or are they not spending any time on that machine at all? And in fact, Alex, do you think this would be applicable to that particular market as well?
100%, Aaron. It's all about adding that value beyond just the basic cameras. Video is one thing for security, but there's much more power that you can get from video when you start to look at the data it can tell us. So 100%. Another scenario there as well, Aaron, with the people counting, the dwell times, even the point of sale integration that we can offer is, how do we reduce shrink within a fast food restaurant because we haven't got enough people on tills serving people? Customer comes into the store, he sees the queue, he sees that people have been stood in the queue for quite a while. He might even stand there for a minute himself or herself, and then they disappear. The fast food is supposed to be fast and convenient. How can we use our cameras, Aaron, to support a business in ensuring that the customer experience is really efficient? Would we be looking at dwell times, people counting? How would we do it? What's your thoughts there, Aaron?
Oh yeah, and well, thanks, Alex. Yeah, and that's a great question. I mean, there's a lot to a retail environment, and guys, you know, we're not really retail centric. We fit into so many different verticals, but I will tell you flat out, we play in the retail space exceptionally well. For exactly what Alex is kind of talking about here, the ability to count people in and out of the building. Okay, how long are those people waiting in line? Well, even beyond that, we start to combine this. And you're going to get to see this on some future webinars. You know, again, we're easing you guys in kind of slowly as far as what we're capable of doing. But eventually, you guys are going to get to see the complete solution of how we use our analytics combined with things like our point of sale integration to create exception-based reports. For instance, to be able to get a report or an alert through a cell phone app, through the client software, through an email that shoots you a still image, whichever media you choose, of things like, I have an employee that is running a comped meal, his free meal of the day, but yet someone's on the other side of the counter that's been standing there for longer than a minute because it's his roommate and he's giving away a meal. So we'll highlight that, we'll flag it, and we'll shoot it out to a loss prevention officer so the system becomes proactive, right? These are just a few of the small things that we can do within our system, because what Alex mentioned earlier, at the end of the day, it's not just security. There's so much more to it. There's business intelligence. We can show you what's going on inside of your organization without you having to go back and do a tremendous amount of research, especially when you're talking about a tremendous amount of disparate data, things like point of sale integration, people in lines, how many employees are on staff, how many customers you have, what time of day, what your average is for the week. All of this is obviously very, very important information. But good call, Alex. Definitely a good point there. All right, so just kind of keep it rolling, guys. I realize we're kind of, I'm going a little long-winded here. I'm going to step it up just a little bit. Go ahead and jump us over to the next slide there, if you would, please. I wanted to touch on one other, dare I say, camera. It's not really a camera. Even though it generates an image, this is actually a sensor. Now, this is really kind of a unique one, and I'm going to throw out a scenario to you guys because this does go back to talking about our video analytics and ultimately some challenges in the industry. So let's just simply look at people counting. And we can run multiple analytics off of this, and that's exactly what this guy's doing. This is a people counter in a perspective view. Okay, so we're looking at it obviously off at an angle. People are coming in, they're walking over a tripwire. That's that little green line there on the ground, virtual tripwire. And then of course, we are counting those folks in and out of that organization. Well, that's a really tough thing to do. So how do you go back and you count people? Well, the old school way simply is a turnstile, right? Force them to go through something that goes click every time they push a little bar, right? Old school turnstile. Then, you know, here comes along analytics. Well, analytics was all well and good on a standard camera. However, in a perspective view, you ended up with a lot of people, as you can see, like the first two people that come in there, or even that third person that's going out, you end up with overlap. And visual analytics have a very hard time with that because it's really looking for movement that's changing compared to the background. And if you have overlap, it thinks it's one big person, not two people going in opposite directions, just because of the way it's designed. So then we took it a step further and we actually make this model too. I didn't bring up a picture of it, but we actually even have yet another one that looks straight down, that is actually a stereoscopic camera that allows us to count people coming in and out of a building. Okay, that's all well and good too, but what happens when you have multiple people coming through the door? You can't put the camera directly above it. You may have some really kind of odd perspectives. You may be off to the side a little bit. You may be at a 30 degree, 45 degree, 90 degree angle, wherever you are. How do you get accurate information? People going in or out, waiting in line, standing in line, loitering, are people gathering? Is it crowd forming? What do you have going on here? And I'm even going to throw in one I haven't mentioned yet, tailgating. That's another really big one, okay? You have somebody go into a building, they've got someone right behind them, okay? First person's used an access card, the second one didn't. Those types of things are really important metrics that we need to be able to get. Well, we figured this out. Time of flight actually refers to the amount of time it takes to shoot out infrared from the front of this sensor down to an object, in this case people, bounce that infrared off of those people, and then the sensor on the front of this unit absorbs that and generates a three-dimensional image. That's what you're seeing here. I mean, yeah, and if I knew who these ladies were walking in the door, I could probably tell you who they are. But if I didn't, this obviously wouldn't be something I could put on the local news and say, this is someone we're looking for. If you don't know this person, you're probably not going to identify them. But that's not what this is for. This, simply put, is the most accurate way to do video analytics that has anything to do with any type of counter whatsoever, right? And obviously you can see all of these: tamper detection behaviors like loitering, stopping, speed filtering, people counting, time in queue, crowd forming, all of those things come into play. And that's exactly what we do with this particular sensor. This opens up a world of opportunities, because in a lot of instances, and especially we started to realize this in a lot of locations, not only do we have more than one person coming through the door at one time, but they didn't all go in the same direction, right? We also couldn't put the camera directly above the door. Just couldn't do it. Well, why not? Well, we got this thing here, it's too high, the ceiling isn't gonna work. Hey, can you guys mount it back here maybe on this wall and kind of look at the door at a 45-degree angle or whatever? Those challenges are real. And again, this is just another one of those arrows in your quiver to be able to come back and say, no, I can give you accurate people counting, and I don't have to mount it above the door. I can do it back here. All right, enough of that, guys. I just wanted to make sure I covered a few of these topics just so you guys had kind of a feel for really what we do here and actually how we've kind of developed these cameras to fit into these markets to ultimately give your customer a broader range beyond security. We really want to start thinking about business intelligence. We want to start thinking about marketing. We want to start thinking about everything that encompasses a proper solution. And these are just some of these pieces that you're going to find fit into this puzzle to really give your customer a complete picture. All right, guys. So having said that, I do believe I'm now going to hand this back over to Jit. He's going to walk you through some of the other kind of bits and pieces that we have as far as support materials and whatnot. But guys, thank you for my part here. I'll jump back on when we start doing some Q&A here in a minute. But for now, Jit, back to you, my friend.
Thank you, Aaron, and thank you, Alex. So now we're going to have a look at the sales and marketing tools and the support that's available to the dealers and end users. So we have spec sheets available for all our products, and this can be found on our website, 3xlogic.com. And all our products come with quick start guide in the box, and this allows you to get started immediately. Now, the majority of manufacturers only provide spec sheets and technical documentation. As a 3X Logic dealer, you can expect a whole series of marketing support and sales tools to include frequent e-newsletters. Now, this is where you'll find out the latest and greatest from 3X Logic. You can read about the industry news from our thought leaders, and also be invited to new product release webinars, trade shows, and more. We have playbooks and end user material, and this can be used as a sales tool when you're interacting with customers. And our case studies provide real-life examples highlighting pain points and solutions available with 3X Logic. And this is a great sales tool as it allows the end user to see it from their perspective. We also have white paper and e-guides, and this provides in-depth and interesting content from the 3X Logic experts. And our social channels, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube, so please follow us at 3X Logic. Regarding translations, we have quick start guide, end user guide, and spec sheets that will be available in French and Spanish in addition to English. And we're also translating some key sales and marketing collateral, again, in those languages. We also have a Visual Solutions digital toolkit. This is a one-stop location where you'll find all the sales and marketing information you need, such as case studies, videos, key contacts, and more. You should have already received this as an email to click on a link to download. If you've not received it, please email marketing_uk@3xlogic.com or contact your PAC or Paycom sales manager and we'll get this to you. As I mentioned, case studies hold real-life examples of pain points and solutions offered to the integrator and end user. And we have a wealth of case studies all on our website, 3xlogic.com. Now, I'm excited to say that we've got some free visual certification training available. And it's available for limited time only. So it starts on the 1st of November and it runs till the end of December. So as you're all aware, training holds a huge value right now. And as it's free for 2 months, I really encourage you to enroll your teams onto it. It's great for salespeople as well as technicians. And this course consists of 10 modules, which introduces our newest cameras and walks through the configuration with our visual hardware and software. Alex and Erin, I know you've done this course yourself, haven't you? So it'd be great to get a bit of your feedback on this.
Yeah, it's really intuitive, Jit, this course. It allows the delegate, the person sat in the chair trying to learn our equipment, it allows them to work at their own pace. They can come back to this and revisit it. They can do it a couple of times during the period that it's free. But the key thing about this is it in our market, training is hard. You know, a lot of the times for business owners, taking engineers off the road can be difficult because that time is money. Whereas with an e-training, it allows the engineer to be able to do this in the lunch breaks, at home, in front of the telly with the laptop on the lap. It gives them the flexibility to even, you know, do it whenever they need to. So it's really, really beneficial. I mean, the last thing business owners want to do in our market is take their engineers off the road, because the engineers could be out there installing the equipment and ultimately earning money for their wage, essentially. So this is a fantastic opportunity to allow your engineers to be able to do this at their own pace, in the comfort of their own home or in a hotel room while they're away on work, and get to grips with our products. And it's free. That's the key thing here. In this time, please utilize this, because it's a fantastic resource to be able to lean on, essentially, and learn our products a little bit more. And it doesn't just have to be the engineers, as Jit said. Back to you, Jit.
Thanks, Alex. So you will receive an email on this free training with a link to our training center and promo code, but you can also see it on the screen, the bottom left hand there on the screen. It's in red. It's got the web address with the promo code there. Just to note, the user must enroll by 31st of December to get the free training. And once enrolled, they'll have 45 days to complete the session. I'll now hand you over to Steve, who's going to discuss the integrations, the programs available, and the next steps.
Thanks, Jit. Good afternoon, everybody. And thanks to both Alex and Erin again for a very insightful session. So thanks for that, guys. Just to reiterate, for those of you who probably weren't on the last call, in terms of integrations of 3X Logic within the systems for our other sister companies. So with Paycom, we have a full integration of 3X Logic into GMS, and we're currently in the process of finalizing a full driver for Unison, which we expect to release in Q1 of next year. We have a basic integration into Unison thus far. For PAC, again, full driver in development, and again, we expect to release that in Q1 of 2021 also. So we'll have full compatibility between all systems by the end of Q1 in 2021. Next slide, please, Jen. Okay, so just wanted to touch briefly on the dealer program. I'm not going to go into all of the different benefits today. We're going to cover that on the next webinar, but I wanted to make you aware of it. It is going to be made available from the 1st of January. And really, we're creating this to create a good network for dealers, really, who are certified, and to implement the solutions that's going to meet the needs of customers and end users alike. Our dealer program is going to offer many unique features to help you enhance your business. And you're also going to be able to reap different benefits such as product discounts, training discounts, lead sharing, cooperative marketing support, a whole raft of things. And we are going to talk about those, as I said, in the next session. But it is going to include things like discounts off demo equipment, and also access into our camera bar for some of those demonstrations as well. Over and above those benefits that we're going to have listed and we're going to talk through next time, I guess being a dealer with 3X Logic really means that you're going to have a trusted team of innovators behind you with highly skilled tech support teams, seasoned marketeers, and a consultative sales support team that really will care about helping you grow your business, and we're there to step through it with you every single step of the way. As I mentioned, the program is going to be available from the 1st of January. And if you are an existing PAC or Paycom customer, then the sales accrued on those brands will count towards the tier level and the benefits offered. So if you're a PAC Paycom customer, you don't necessarily start at silver. You may start in silver or platinum or even titanium, depending upon what level of partner you have with us on those other systems. Next slide, please, Jim. So in terms of next steps, for all of you who've registered on the webinar, our sales team will be following up with you. I suspect many of you have probably already had a call following the first webinar, and those of you who hadn't, stand by, because our teams will be in touch with you shortly. And that's really to do a couple of things. Number one, we'd really like to get your feedback on the webinars that you've been on to date to make sure that we're gauging it right, and if we need to make any adjustments going into the next ones, but also to agree the next steps with you. Obviously, we'd love to be able to provide you with an in-depth demo and a walkthrough with you, and then go through the process of actually getting you to become a certified dealer. Now, as both Jit and Alex have touched on, the free training that's available, the e-training is free until the 31st of December. And it's critical to try and get as many of you guys through that as possible. We can't supply you with product unless your guys are trained. Okay, that's one of the things that we want to work on, so that not everybody can install our products. You must have had and passed our training courses. So we really encourage you to get on and push with that. Of course, once you're through that, we'll also issue you with an onboarding toolkit and some price lists. And from there, you'll have the ongoing sales support, so you can register projects to make sure that you're going to get the benefit of a better discount on that versus other people coming through. And you'll also get the assistance from our sales team, who will help you with demonstrations with customers. Alex will be there to help with that as well. We'll help you with the design build-up, putting together quotations, anything that you really need to be able to convert that customer. As I said, working with us really is about building a really strong future-proof relationship, and we want to be with you every step of the way on that. I think I'm now going to pass you back on to Alex for a quick recap. So over to you, Alex.
Thanks, Steve. So hopefully, and guys, I appreciate that we've only really put across the body of this presentation, 35, 40 minutes of information. But hopefully we've started to plant the seeds and show you who 3X Logic really are, and that is we're a software and hardware manufacturer, but we're actually a problem solver. And because we solve problems through the methods that we've started to show you today, that will help you win more business. Because you're differentiating yourself from that competitor, you're not just providing a camera solution, you're providing someone with an integral tool to their business to ultimately add value. And because of that, you're then seen by your customers as a trusted advisor with them at the center of it all. And hopefully that will help you get a greater share of your customers' business, because you know as well as I do, if you get one discipline with your customer, they see the value in that then grows right the way through. And that could be the access control integrations that we discussed, or it could be right the way through the disciplines within our market sector. Next slide, please, Jet. So really, guys, this slide is not to show you how big our company is or anything like that. It's more to show you that we're here to support you. We've essentially got round-the-clock support services in place. If you can't reach me, you can reach Erin. If you can't get Erin, there's other people within the organization that are here to help you. And we've not been doing it 2 minutes. This is well over 15 years in the making, with loads of experience, loads of software revisions that have allowed us to develop our product more and more. We never sit still. And ultimately, we're here to help you guys. And by putting this slide on the screen, it just shows that we're here to help you around the clock. Is it back to you now, Jet?
Yes, it is, Alex. Thank you. So we've got a couple of slides left now. We're just going to focus on support. So we've got an array of support available to suit our customers' needs. Now, regional sales managers are available to answer any queries you may have. So for pack or pay from customers, speak to your usual contacts. We also have regional sales contacts, and these can be seen on the screen here. And for any other sales inquiry, please contact sales@3slogic.com. You can also contact customer services for placing orders and for general inquiries, and the number can be seen here on the screen. Our qualified tech support team is on hand for any technical inquiries, and this is helpdesk@3slogic.com. Now, as I mentioned, supporting our customers with training is of paramount importance to us. And we have our free visual training for 2 months. In addition to that, if you've got any queries for training, please contact training@3slogic.com. And our website, 3slogic.com, holds great resources for information and content on our products and solutions. So please use this. These resources will be designed for you. And please join the 3slogic family. You can follow us on social media on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at 3slogic. So where can you find all the tools? Well, we have a document library, 3slogic.com/resources. And this is a database of user guides, spec sheets, how-to videos, tech tips, etc. So please have a look at this. In addition to this, I've mentioned the Solutions Digital Toolkit. This would have already been emailed to you. And this is a user-friendly sales and marketing document and one-stop location to find all the information you'll need. And as I mentioned, the website's a great resource for finding out more on our products and solutions. And please don't forget to contact our sales managers for further information. As I've mentioned, this webinar is part of the series. So please join us for the third webinar in our virtual showcase series, where we focus on recording appliances, visual software options. And this is next Tuesday, 17th November at 2 p.m. UK time. And as you've registered for this webinar, you'll be automatically signed up for the full series. You'll get a reminder an hour before the next webinar. And if you miss any of the webinars, you'll receive an email from us to be able to watch those sessions. So finally, I'd like to thank the speakers today. I thank you all who've joined our webinar and attended.